The Ark of the Covenant wasn't just lost, it was hidden. Not by accident, but by design. Not forgotten, but protected. And some believe the ones who found it weren't ancient priests or biblical prophets, but a medieval military order with no nation, no king, and no equal. The Knights Templar. What if their sudden rise wasn't a miracle, but a possession? What if the Church feared them not because of heresy, but because they held something the Vatican could never control? And when the Templars fell, what if the Ark vanished with them? Forever. Let that idea settle for a moment. Not as a myth or a movie plot, but as a possibility. We're not here to prove legends. We're here to trace the smoke and see if it leads to fire. The Ark of the Covenant. Gold-plated. Terrifying. Said to be built by divine instruction carried into battle by the Israelites and lost sometime after the destruction of the first temple in Jerusalem. When the Crusaders arrive in the Holy Land, dig beneath ancient ruins, and emerge years later, not just victorious, but untouchable. Richer than kings, feared by popes, capable of shifting the balance of power across Europe. The mystery of the Ark's disappearance has haunted archaeologists, theologians, and dreamers alike. But very few have looked closely at the strange coincidences surrounding the Templars, their obsession with Jerusalem, their strange rituals, their abrupt collapse, and the curious fate of their treasures. This is not the story of a golden box. It's the story of the men who may have found it, and what they did next. So take a breath. Light a candle if you'd like. And before we venture further into the shadows, take a moment to subscribe so you never miss a secret that history has tried to forget. You begin in the desert. Not a romantic desert of sun-kissed dunes, but a brutal ancient landscape, harsh, jagged, and dry. The Israelites, newly freed from Egyptian bondage, wander through this wilderness, carrying more than just the trauma of slavery. They carry a command, a divine instruction. God does not merely speak to them, he demands a vessel. Not just any vessel, but one made to precise, almost obsessive specifications. Acacia wood. Overlay it with pure gold inside and out. Make rings, poles, a mercy seat with cherubim, their wings spread upward, facing each other over the empty space. Inside place the stone tablets of the law, a pot of manna, and Aaron's rod. But it's not just a container, it's a throne. The Ark of the Covenant becomes in essence the mobile footstool of a cosmic king. From the very beginning, the Ark is not just sacred, it is dangerous. In one early episode, a man named Uzzah simply touches the Ark to steady it and drops dead on the spot. God is holy, the narrative insists. The Ark is not to be managed like luggage. It is raw power. When Israel carries the Ark into battle, enemies fall, walls collapse, and rivers part. When it is captured or mishandled, plagues erupt, statues shatter, and chaos follows. The Ark is, in effect, a kind of ancient weapon, a symbolic and literal sign that the divine has chosen a side. This is not the quiet religiosity of modern churches. This is closer to radioactive awe. To stand near the Ark is to risk everything. Some scholars have even wondered whether the biblical descriptions hint at more than mere holiness. Electrical discharge, radiation, sound, resonance. These ideas drift at the edge of credibility, but they speak to a central truth: no one ever describes the Ark as passive. One peculiar detail rarely mentioned in Sunday school sits quietly in the book of Numbers. When the ark set out, Moses would cry out, "Rise up, O Lord, let your enemies be scattered." It's almost theatrical God riding into war on his golden throne. The ark is not carried like furniture. It is paraded like a royal presence. One wonders how this ritual looked in reality: dust clouds, horns, priests, and linen, the gold catching the sun. Perhaps the effect was not only divine, but psychological. In temple liturgy, the ark is hidden behind veils approached once a year by one man after elaborate purification. Its inaccessibility becomes part of its identity. Only high priests, only blood offerings, only silence. And even then, the risk is immense. When the Babylonians destroy the first temple in 586 BCE, they cart off the treasures of the sanctuary. But curiously, the ark is not mentioned among them. This, according to many, is where the trail goes cold. But the story doesn't simply vanish, it transforms. In the centuries that follow, new texts emerge, apocryphal and prophetic. Some speak of the ark being hidden before the invasion. Others claim it was taken by angels or buried in Mount Nebo by the prophet Jeremiah. One tradition, curiously persistent, says it was never lost at all, but carried south far from the reach of Babylon. That idea we'll revisit soon. For now, it's enough to realize this: if any object in history could unite tribes, terrify rulers, or legitimize a rebellion, it's this one. A sacred artifact with a track record of destroying cities and enthroning nations. And if it were to be found, truly found, its impact would be immeasurable. This isn't just about theology. This is about power, which is why centuries